I'm thrilled to be able to welcome Graham and Rachael Rakena tonight to share with us some of their tales of Venice.
We were posed that question, is this the project that you would want to take to Venice if you had a chance?
And why do you want to go?
And why do you want to go?
And why do you want to go that much?
And why does Rachael want to mortgage her house to do it? But some of the inspiration came from the original idea behind the project, the kaupapa, and that returned back, for me anyway, it returned back to Horohoro and the original idea. They decided to build a power station there, and my grandfather had worked at Horohoro and some of the other power stations for most of his life. When they created the new power station, they flooded Horohoro, where my father had been raised and my grandparents had lived. And so this is actually a photograph of the people gathering inside the power station to say goodbye as the water is actually rising inside the house as it's been flooded. The generators were the inspiration behind the forms. The idea of creating these large circular objects that had the power of the original generators, hopefully, but also obviously with the function of housing the video. Another interpretation of that name, Aniwaniwa, was actually disorientation, like being thrown in the rapids in dark water, not knowing which way is up or down. And so we wanted to play upon that as well. And so you're actually looking up as if you're actually submerged underwater, creating that sense of ambiguity. The three of us, Rachael, myself, and Alice Hutchins, were feeling rather glum and sitting on couches, sort of feeling sorry for ourselves, when Alice came up with a ridiculous notion. I know, we'll take the work to Venice. We'll put it on a barge, we'll find a palace, and we'll just take it to Venice. I've got some contacts there.
So we spent Christmas and New Year working on a proposal. She contacted her friend, this is Alice, and her friend Milovan, who's also a curator.
Now he got on the phone to Camilla. Let's just talk about the phone to Camilla.
And Camilla's a Venetian. She was brought up there, she was born there, and her family's been there for centuries. Camilla had, Venetian contacts, and she managed to source a venue which was being contested for a number of projects.
We'd heard that there were 50 artists lined up just for the Magazzini del Sole, the space that we eventually exhibited in. There was another artist proposed for that space, which Camilla actually flew in to look at another venue.
So that we could have this space.
We had to go back and remake more of the sculpture forms, the wakahuia.
So we took it from 3 to 5. And this is Brett's studio. It was this big push to get everything into the shipping container and to make sure it fitted. We ended up with a 40-foot shipping container, which is a large one.
And so this is in Venice, the arrival. And this is the first glimpse of the venue. We'd seen photographs of it, but we were actually spellbound when we saw it. It had sort of cathedral-like proportions, and it was right by the water, facing the island of Giudecca. This is the container actually arriving. On the other side you see the island of Giudecca. So after 6 weeks being on the water, it finally arrived outside the venue.
I think it was about 8 weeks. It was a week late.
But just for an example, with the shipping, it costs just as much to barge the work from one side of Venice to the other as it did to ship the work from New Zealand to Venice. The Italians have a legacy for impossible bureaucracy, and the Venetians have a reputation within Italy for impossible bureaucracy. So everything had a permit, and because of the historical nature of Venice and the buildings and so on, we had to get permits for everything. It wasn't until the day after we arrived in Venice that we were actually given permission to hang these from the roof, which of course is crucial because they could have quite easily ended up on the floor.
Those guys helped us put them up, get them into the air, and then we decided that we were better workers and they cost too much, and they took lots of foam breaks and lots of smoke breaks and lots of lunch breaks. So they worked for us for 2 days, and then we did the rest of it ourselves.
Mario and I had lunch with them one day, and they took the boat to the other side, to Giudecca, and after quite a bit of wine, they'd come back, and sometimes they wouldn't necessarily come back, but it was all a good experience. I thought you were going to put that in. Okay, next one.
There were some days when we were all exhausted. Brett didn't make it onto his mattress that night. He only made it halfway there.
Okay, next one.
And that was kind of how it was for all of us. We wanted to treat our guests to some Pacific cuisine. So we went to the fish markets and bought a whole lot of fish. And this is all in our one-bedroom apartment. We did all our cooking, packed it up into containers, put our good clothes in our backpacks because we knew we'd be sweaty by the time we got there, and set off. It was a boat ride and a walk.
So this is opening night.
And
here's the work.
she kind of looked at us, and we were all there in our work clothes, and she said, "Never before have I seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people to install an entire pavilion, and you cook." And I've been calling it the art version of Outward Bound.